Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, I'm so sad. This year's NFL Combine, it's over.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Who are you? What have you done with the real Wilbon? Huh?
You know, we evolved.
Did you watch?
I watched some.
I watched very little. I watched the highlights today, and I don't understand why it matters. The vertical jump of a quarterback. I honestly, I don't understand.
Or an offensive lineman. Defensive ends?
Okay, because you're blocking passes. Okay, but
I'm with you.
What does it mean? Yeah. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Miami of Ohio has a close call. The Knicks, Pistons, and Celtics are rolling, and the Oilers still have a goalie problem. But we begin today with big-time college basketball played over the weekend. Number 1, Duke crushed number 11, Virginia, 77-51. Number 2, Arizona crushed number 14, Kansas, 84-61. And on Friday night, number 3, Michigan crushed number 10, Illinois, at Illinois, 84-70. Wilbon, what was the most compelling result of the weekend?
Yeah, I don't want to say Michigan. I don't want to say Michigan.
You have to.
I have to say Michigan.
I understand.
So going into that game, I was really excited about that game because I thought, okay, I know what Michigan is now because I just watched them against Duke play an even game. I said I would rank Michigan 2. I would seed them as a 1. Let's see what Illinois has. I think Illinois has some depth, some shooting, some size. I like what the Illini put together this year. No, Michigan put it right back on them.
Yeah.
And Tony, the size thing, and by the way, Illinois didn't turn in some dog performance. Illinois played pretty damn well.
They're not as good.
They're not as good.
Not as good.
And so we're starting to have some reveal. The Arizona game was impressive, although that was in Arizona. Kansas, look, if I can't trust, and the best player on the team made some brilliant plays, but that wound up being a sizable margin of victory for Arizona.
Yeah.
Sizable.
Yeah. So here's what I think we are watching. Night after night, week after week in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we're watching good teams play good teams.
Yes.
And we are watching the great teams separate from the good teams. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because in addition to these games, I wrote these things down, in addition to the ones we want to talk about, number 16, Texas Tech beat number 4, Iowa State at Iowa State.
Yeah.
Number 4, Houston beat Colorado by 40. And if you're impressed by 40, number 7, Florida, I believe are the defending champions, beat number 20, Arkansas, and put 111 on them. And now Iowa State, which is now 6, is at Arizona tonight. Look. So we're seeing this separation. I believe that Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and UConn are going to be the number 1 seeds. And I also believe that the number 2 seeds could beat the number 1 seeds because we see that this year. In terms of answering this question, the only answer is Michigan beating Illinois. And here's why. The ACC is not as good as the Big Ten. Nobody is surprised that Duke buried Virginia like that. And nobody is surprised that Arizona, which was laying in wait for Kansas because Kansas beat them the last time, no one is surprised that Arizona won that game in the same way that no one is surprised that Villanova could not beat St. John's.
I was going to say,
because
we are not surprised.
No, because St. John's looked terrible against UConn and missing the last 24 shots.
They were going to bounce back. When Patino comes out
in the cream suit,
the white shirt and the cream tie.
Yeah. No. I understand that.
Rick Pitino might be able to tell young people in the media this meant nothing. If you and I were standing with him privately, he wouldn't even try to say. He walked out there and he basically demanded his team put up that kind of performance.
I just want to say this. Since the NFL ended, college basketball has saved this show. Because the NBA was off for a week on the All-Star game. The NHL was off for 2 weeks with the Olympics. And I will say something I never thought I would say.
What?
Realignment may be helping. You look at Arizona and Houston in the Big 12, and they make a difference. They make a difference.
They do, but it hurts some other parts. Wait, one of the things, speaking of that Big 12, how about Texas Tech without its arguably best player? Toppin was starting to play like an All-American. He's out for the season. And they go and get that win at Iowa State. Very impressive. Let's move from the Power 4 to the unbeaten mid-major, Miami of Ohio. The 19th ranked Redhawks improved to 29-0 when they scraped by 11th place Western Michigan Friday on Trey Perry's left-handed lay-in with 0.4 of a second left in the game. Miami has 2 regular season games and the MAC tournament remaining. Tone, if the Redhawks lose before the big dance, would they still deserve an enlarged bid?
I think absolutely they would. Are we up to 68 teams, or we at 72, however many? There are 37 at-large bids. They're 29-0. If they lose one, they're 29-1. And they deserve to be in over, let's say, a sixth-place team from the SEC or the Big East.
It would be a lot lower than 6. You might get, 11th place teams.
Let me give you the numbers of what's working against them. Their strength of schedule is 321 out of 365. That's awful.
Yeah.
Their out-of-conference strength of schedule is worse. It's 360 out of 365. They have only played in one Quad 2 game. They haven't played in any Quad 1 games. And the MAC conference has not gotten a second team in since 1999. But they haven't had a 29-0 team. They have a 29-0 team, and they deserve a chance to be in there even if they lose. Let's be honest here. If Duke or Michigan or Arizona loses a game in their conference tournament, it will not affect their seeding at all. It should not affect Miami. Miami should be in. You got to respect it.
Be in.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, otherwise you just turn the conference commissioners and the Power Four into gangsters. They're just bullies where they say, get out of here. We don't even want to see you. We don't want to schedule you in the regular season,
That's right.
thereby helping you raise that strength of schedule number.
I don't believe this in football. I believe it in basketball. I am less charitable for teams getting in football.
Because first of all, we've seen people make it competitive in basketball. But I'm not even going there, Tony, because it's particularly with the Big Ten and the MAC. These kids all grew up together. They all basically got separated through the process of recruiting when you're in Michigan and Ohio and Illinois and Indiana. And now you're telling me you go undefeated against whatever schedule you're allowed to cobble together.
Yeah.
And that's not good enough because we need a 13th team from the Big Ten.
So,
come on now.
So I had Joe Lunardi on the podcast today after you appeared on the podcast, Joey Brackets. And he said he felt that Miami would win their conference tournament and then be in an 8-9 game. The first game would be in an 8-9 game. Now, if they have any regular season games left and they lose that and in the tournament, that's different. But if they only lose one going in, then I am good with that. By the way, his sleepers?
Who?
St. Louis and St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. The St. Mary's Gonzaga game was good.
Let's move to the NBA and specifically the Eastern Conference, Wilbon, so you will not be able to talk about the Lakers beating the Warriors by 20 on Saturday.
Thank you.
In the East, the Knicks pounded San Antonio by 25 points after beating Milwaukee 2 days before. The Pistons beat Cleveland and Orlando after their not-so-good week last week, and the Celtics put 148 points on the Nets on Friday, then beat Philadelphia by 16 last night. Wilbon, which Eastern contender had the most impressive weekend?
I think Cleveland did. I mean, the Nets cannot count toward any
they stink.
Positive.
They stink. No, they stink.
They're the worst.
How did you get to Cleveland? I didn't even mention
Talk
Cleveland.
about being relegated.
I didn't mention Cleveland.
So wait a minute. I confused. So it's not Boston either. So Boston just ran up that score on Brooklyn, 148 points. I don't care if it's historic and it would involve Larry Bird. Right. You can't consider that. I get the Pistons is what I really meant. The Pistons.
You confused Cleveland and Detroit. Okay. You do that all the time.
My life.
Yeah,
right. Cleveland and Detroit. I'm going to say the Pistons. Look, we're getting to the point in the NBA, Tony, where the victories, when you play real teams, not the Nets, they're more competitive.
Yeah.
They may be smaller margins. So I don't know what happened to Golden State. And by the way, Golden State looks like now, look, I know Steph Curry's out another 5 games. Without Steph Curry another 5 games, can they still hold on to a play-in spot?
I very specifically said we're not going to talk about that.
I didn't mention the Lakers.
Oh, you mentioned, okay. So here, you know my feeling about any individual games that they don't really matter all that much.
Right.
I don't believe that the Knicks or the Pistons or the Celtics had any particular worries. San Antonio was on the 4th game of a 5-game road trip.
Schedule loss.
Right? Detroit had to prove that what you saw the week before on home games, that wasn't really who they are. And as you say, the Brooklyn Nets stink. So I want to go to a larger issue here, and for me, it is the Boston Celtics. You know that I believe that they are the most surprising team in the NBA this year.
Credit, you called it early.
And they win these games. They win these 2 games by 53 points combined, and they shoot 54% from the field. They do this without Jason Tatum, their best player. And Jaylen Brown has now risen up to be their best player. In these 2 games, he had 55 points, 15 rebounds, 17 assists, and shot 18 for 29. That's his case for MVP. He just stated his case for MVP.
And he's a terrific defender.
Right.
But
the issue,
Brown,
no matter what else you say in the East, the issue comes down to, is Jason Tatum coming back?
Tony, so you're saying as much as you believe in Boston, you don't believe they could win without Jason Tatum?
I'm not sure they can't win, but I think with Jason Tatum, and people are going to say, well, how will he fit in? Well, he's played there for 7 or 8 years. He knows how to fit. There's no break-in period.
What this last week did was expose a little bit of a flaw in Detroit, which needs a second scorer to go with Cade Cunningham. The Knicks, Tony, it may have exposed that they are what we think they are, which is up and down, which is unable to sustain, but their defense is better. I mean, it's not Tibbs' defense,
you don't
but
love
it's
Boston.
better.
You don't love Boston.
I'm starting to really like Boston. Yeah.
Did you see that kid in the middle last night? He had like 1,000.
Unbelievable.
Who is he? Let's take a break.
It was Robert Parrish
Coming
last
up,
night.
the Oilers hope they'd solve their goalie problem, but do they need to try again?
They're like 27-17.
I don't know who he is.
Man, the runaway leader in the U.S. Half Marathon Championship took a wrong turn.
Did Brad
with help.
Stevens find that kid somewhere?
Yeah.
Does he know what he's doing?
Yeah.
Because I think he knows what he's doing.
Oklahoma City, the Celtics, they know what they're...
Let us find out what's popping with the populace. I'm going to get the first one. Go to my glasses. Here we go.
Are we starting?
Do the Oilers need to add a goalie before Friday's NHL trade deadline?
No. And they sort of just made a move that tells you they probably won't worry about the goaltending. They'll worry about the defense. So the Oilers are the second best offensive team in the league and the 4th worst defensive team. That's insane. You just can't score 6 goals every night, as Mr. Draisaitl said recently. They traded Stuart Skinner in December to the Penguins.
Right.
He was terrible. They got rid of him.
Right.
They get Tristan Jarry.
Terrible.
Who goes from 2.66 to 3.85 goals against. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Connor Ingram, the backup. I mean, he's not much better. So what they did, though, Tony, with the goaltenders all being bad, you got to think, what about a defenseman? So they go out just now, minutes ago, and they get Connor Murphy, a solid defensive veteran from Chicago, block shots to compare with Darnell Nurse. Defense is what they need to improve, not necessarily goaltending.
Okay. Not necessarily?
Not necessarily.
Tristan Jarry's save percentage is .860.
Yeah.
Right now, just in Edmonton, he's 57th out of 58 goalies. That's awful. Okay. He has given up 4+ goals in his last 5 games. And he's not the only one infected by this. The great Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida, he is 55th out of 58. He gave up to the Islanders, because I watched this yesterday. He gave up 5 goals to the Islanders.
Isn't it possible he's just tired?
This is what I want to get to. These 2 teams, Florida and Edmonton, have played so many playoff games in the last 2 to 3 years. Florida has played, going to the Cup Finals, winning twice out of 3 years, 68 extra games. That has to wear on you. That's almost a full season.
Yeah.
I think that wears on. I think the teams, because you don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think these teams are exhausted. You know what I would do if I was Edmonton? I'd trade for Bobrovsky. I'd bring him in. I'd bring him in.
No, you know what you want to do? You trade for Connor Murphy, a Blackhawks defenseman, because they haven't played any playoff games. He's got to be fresh as a daisy.
He's fresh.
The Blackhawks haven't played a playoff game in probably 8 years. So, it's a good move. Am I reading you the second email?
You are. That's the rule. I read 1, you read 2.
So, who made the biggest gaffe this weekend? The pace car driver in the U.S. Half Marathon Championship or the lighting dude in the UConn-UMass hockey game?
So let me explain this with the pace car. The pace car went off the course. The racers behind the pace car didn't know to not follow the pace car.
Right, they're following the pace car.
They followed the pace car.
That's why it's called the pace car.
The woman who is leading, when she finally climbs back into the race, she finishes ninth.
Around, but
this happens more often than people think.
Really?
I saw this happen. I saw this happen in a race about 10 years ago.
Well, how about this?
Okay, when the guy misses, he thinks it's not a save. He thinks it's a goal.
Right.
It's a save. Then he turns the lights out.
At home,
in 3-3 in overtime. You can't do that.
UMass is at home and benefits from this.
Can I tell
you about a penalty
it's
shot?
It's not the biggest gaffe. The biggest gaffe, Shane Lowry. Oh, yeah. Shane Lowry puts one in the water on 16, puts one in the water on 17, double bogeys. Well, the guy who's won a British Open. Yeah. Shane Lowry needs 2 double bogeys. He loses a 3-shot lead in the last tournament. 3 holes.
But at least Lowry, who won like $8 or $9 million last year, it's not going to affect his life.
When you saw it, what did you think?
I screamed out loud because it's Shane Lowry.
Stunning.
Particularly in part 3.
Nobody does this.
You cannot. Pace car? So who's responsible? Who's accountable? If you're not following, you and I have been in pace cars in our life at the racetrack, right?
Yeah.
The pace car sets what? The pace and the direction. And you can't have a UMass lighting guy go dark. You can't have that.
If you're a runner in that race, you have to know the course. The course is marked. It has a specific kind of tape. It's marked. I understand the instinct to follow the pace car, but it's a mistake.
You know how much he lost?
It's a mistake. How much?
He lost 20 grand.
Really?
That's not like Shane Lowry.
Oh, no. They don't make that much. Marathon or half marathons can't pay that much.
And the UMass lighting guy.
I get that.
And I don't want him fired. I don't want that. Just a penalty shot.
What pro golfer of that consequence do you know that lost a 3-shot lead on the last 3 holes? Ever?
I was going to say it's Van de Velde.
That was one
Nobody
hole.
knows who's watching us.
That was one hole, don't you think? Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come, the Lions ship out David Montgomery.
Wow. That's a wow. Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, winning. Another 3-peat.
Shane Lowry faced the press.
He did.
And was great.
He was.
And was great. And people love him, and they should.
More respect for him.
But
I do.
The second one in the water, why are you going right? What are you doing? Right?
It looked like something we would do.
Yeah. Well, we'd be shorter into the water.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Happy time, people. Happy 54th birthday, Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino is the coach of the United States men's national soccer team that will play in the World Cup this summer. Previously, Pochettino coached Espanyol in La Liga in Spain, Southampton, Tottenham Hotspur, and Chelsea in England's Premier League, and Paris Saint-Germain, where he won Ligue 1 in France.
Gets around.
Along the way, Pochettino coached Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. The U.S. MNT has 2 high-profile tune-up games in Atlanta later this month. One against 8th-ranked Belgium on March 28th, and the other against 6th-ranked Portugal on March 31st. The United States is ranked 15th. After those games, Pochettino will finalize his roster for the U.S. World Cup team, which is as big a deal as we have in soccer.
World Cup in 101 days. Also, he's coached Cole Palmer at Chelsea, coached Harry Kane and son at Tottenham.
Harry Kane.
Everybody except Pelé, he seems to have coached.
Nobody on the U.S. team as good as those guys.
Not as good as any of those guys.
No, that's what I'm saying. Happy anniversary, Luis Giome. On this day 9 years ago, during a spring training game, the Mets infielder nonchalantly caught a bat whizzing into the Mets dugout in one of the most impressive spring training baseball plays ever. Our pal Ron Darling, calling the game, made reference to the Highland Games in Scotland in terms of comparison. The bat accidentally flew out of the hands of the Marlins, Adani Echevarria. Giome stayed with the Mets through the 2023 season, appropriately as a glove man, though this catch was barehanded. Since then, Giome has bounced around the league, spending time with the Braves, Angels, and Diamondbacks. Most recently, he played in the Astros organization. Everyday
dopes have no idea what kind of hand-eye coordination professional athletes have. Remember when, I'm drawing a blank, on the Spurs caught the bat in the air, the bat that was flying through San Antonio?
Manu Ginobili. Oh, the bat. Oh, not that kind of bat, a real bat.
A real bat.
Flying in the
Look how great their hands are.
Yeah, not great.
Unbelievable.
Happy trails, Chad Baker-Mazara. USC's leading scorer, a 26-year-old transfer from Auburn, 26, is no longer with the program after a bizarre scene during Saturday's loss to Nebraska. Baker-Mazara was leading the Trojans with 14 points when he left the court with an apparent leg injury, only to later return and sit with fans rather than the team. You can't do that. I have no idea what his relationship is with head coach Eric Musselman. And the LA Times reports there were an accumulation of issues. But you cannot go sit in the stands.
Sort of seems like something Ron Artest either would do or did like 30 years ago. I'm just worried, Tony, that something else comes down about behavior and why he did this. I'm worried about that.
I understand that worry. We don't know anything in here.
What might have caused.
But that is a bizarre circumstance to go sit in the stands. I mean, that you're saying, I'm not part of this team anymore. I know it, you know it, I'm not part of this team.
It's been like 5, 6 schools. Been a lot of schools, including JC.
Yeah. He's 26. People stay in college now until they're 40.
The money's too good to leave.
Let's go to the big finish. We got lots of time. The Lions are sending running back David Montgomery to the Texans for offensive lineman Juice Scruggs and 2 picks. Are you surprised?
Wow. I mean, I don't think they want Jahmyr Gibbs by himself in that backfield. Montgomery is a tough guy. He's being traded for a 4th and a 7th. I was angry when the Bears got rid of him. Seems like he's going to Houston. Giannis is set to return to the court tonight. Trae Young, your boy, is expected to make the Wizards' debut Thursday. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Milwaukee really isn't any good, and they're tanking. They're tanking at the moment. The Wizards have been tanking for 3 years and continue to tank. I think
surprised?
I think it's great that Trae Young's going to play. I would go under on 5 games for the rest of the season.
I'm going over on that.
Yeah, I'm going under on that. Speaking of not playing, Joel Embiid will miss at least 3 games with a strained right oblique. Is that a big deal?
I was looking forward to him going up head-to-head with Wilbon on the Spurs, I believe, last game on that long road trip. But Zion missed the Pelicans game Sunday, snapping a career-high streak of 35 straight played. Disappointed?
Yeah, he never plays that much. So he's had a good year in terms of being healthy. Was he the first pick when John Morant was the second pick? Yeah. Wouldn't you have expected more by now?
Both.
Yes. You would have expected more by now.
Not worked out well for either.
No, it really has not. Last one, Tyler Reddick is the first NASCAR driver to win the first 3 races of the season. You're impressed.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan winning again.
Yeah.
3 straight.
Do you
think for a 4-peat in Arizona?
Do you think the key is to get in a lawsuit? Do you think that
How about
that's
that?
what works
if you
out?
count that, it's already 4 straight.
Yeah. We're out of time.
Man.
We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. Mom would have been 100 today. Wow. Your sports center.
PTI.
Right, by the way.